She claims she's gonna fix the world.
How do you know she won't?
Because she is clearly a raging narcissist whose ambition knows no limits. It's hubris, literal hubris. Anyone who seeks to attain the power of a god must be prevented at all costs from attaining it.
Welcome back, everyone. It's Charlie. This is going to be my Watchmen Episode 9 video for the finale. So much stuff happened, and there's so much stuff coming up this week. If you're new to the channel, be sure to subscribe to get everything. We'll do top 10 WTF and Easter eggs as we go along. Careful for spoilers if you have not seen the episode yet. Starting with number 10, the flashback to Lady Trieu's origin story in the title of the episode. So the title was See How They Fly, which is obviously a reference to the squid at the end of the episode, the way that Ozymandias was able to save the world once more, and it's one of the verses from the Beatles cover song that they played over the end of the episode, See How They Fly. But we get Lady Trieu's origin story. We find out who her mother was. She was a person working for Ozymandias inside his Karnak facility during the events of the original comic book series. She hates the servitude, so she steals one of his vials, inseminates herself. The big painting that she was staring at when she said, F you, Ozymandias, is actually a picture of Alexander the Great. He referenced it later in the episode. Lady Trieu told him the truth about what happened because her mother told her the truth, the picture of Alexander, behind which you have all of your seed that you've stored in that special fridge. I don't know what I was expecting from the father-daughter-ness of it all, but the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. Like he references, it takes one to know one, calling her an incredible narcissist and probably the worst person ever to take Dr. Manhattan's power. So when he admits that at the end of the episode, it's sort of him admitting to his faults, even though he's still an asshole to the end. But then number 9, the flashback to 2008, before Dr. Manhattan had come back to visit Ozymandias, with her explaining her plan, revealing herself to him. We get a little more context for his relationship with Robert Redford. He won't take my calls, said he would have won the election even without my help. This is the version of Ozymandias that felt like he had fallen on hard times, nobody cared about him, he couldn't tell them the truth. I'm the person that saved the world and nobody can know. But if it wasn't clear, everything that Lady Trieu did after this was on her own. Like she says at the end of the episode, I wanted you to see that I could do this coming from nothing, because he literally left her nothing, and she still wound up buying his company later in life. Remember, they said that Ozymandias disappeared and Lady Trieu mysteriously just bought his company out from under him. So presumably, she left his Karnak base, then went to set out and make her fortune, make all the money that it took to make her special quantum device to take Dr. Manhattan's power, but along the way also accumulated the wealth necessary to buy his company out of spite. So she didn't really need his company, she was just buying it to prove that she could. But we get the reveal of what really happened with the satellite and him leaving the message with the dead bodies. She claims 5 years from now her satellite's going to be over Europa, taking pictures of Dr. Manhattan, presumably, but she didn't know eventually what would happen with Ozymandias being teleported there by Dr. Manhattan. So number 7, Ozymandias escapes from the moon. So she gets the message, a couple years go by. Remember, it takes a couple years for all these things to happen. So I think one of the better reveals is that he's actually been that statue in her garden this whole season, presumably for a year or more. So when the ship came back, she just wheeled him in and stuck him there, and then only unthawed him right before the finale. So this whole season, he's just been sitting there chilling out. I saw a lot of you have that theory in the comments that Ozymandias was that person in the statue, and that's where he's been. Technically, you're not wrong, but he was also back on Jupiter. It's just that he's been frozen there for a little while. Love the scene with him and the Game Master. Was I a worthy opponent? No, you definitely were not, but you did put on a hell of a show. He straight up catches the bullet, just like he did during the original comic series. They also did that moment during the Watchmen movie. We get the full reveal that his message was, save me, daughter, which is paying off that moment from their flashback when he said, I will never, ever call you daughter, and I offer you nothing. He went full Ozymandias by the end of the episode, quoting the end times, the end is nigh, my friend, talking to the newspaper man. I also love the funny moments that they had too. Where do people think that Ozymandias has been this whole time? Oh, they think he ran off to the jungle, which I also think is the writers winking at him being stuck in that little garden in the golden statue. But number 6, the 7th Cavalry captures Dr. Manhattan. So this sort of a carryover from last week's episode. The timeline between last week's episode and this episode overlaps a little bit. There were several evil guys speechifying moments during the episode, from Lady Trieu and from Senator Keene. Same type of villain monologue, just coming from different people, and in both instances, someone tried to stop them mid-sentence, just like, get on with it, I don't care what you have to say, just do whatever it is that you're going to do. Lori tries to make fun of Senator Keene's Dr. Manhattan underwear. You know you look ridiculous in that, even though he's just going on and on and on about how great he's going to be once he gets all this power. When Lady True is villain monologuing, it's the Chief's widow that just tells her, just get on with it. If you're gonna kill us, go ahead and kill us. But number 5, they activate the device, but it winds up liquefying Senator Keene, and it activates a teleport that Lady True engineered to take them back to the site of the original massacre in Tulsa. Lady True could have used her device anywhere, but she's trying to bake all of this deep meaning and mythology into what she's doing, like she's literally trying to turn herself into a god. They actually reference it later because when she's sort of looking up, getting ready to take his power, there's the image of Jesus Christ on the cross right next to her in frame. So Ozymandias, as he says, takes one to know one. She is a true narcissist in this moment. Also make note of some of the things that Dr. Manhattan says when this is all going on. So his mind is sort of racing all over the place. He said that it's really hard to be present because of the way the cage works. They revealed that the cage itself is made from all the melted watch batteries that they were collecting at the beginning of the season because that's the only thing that can contain and block his power. Most of the lines of dialogue that he has are actually quotes from the original events of the comic book way back in 1985, but he also implies that the military at some point later in the timeline tried to get him to go to Afghanistan, presumably because of all the oil, which seems like a very obvious reference to the Bush administration in the actual war in Iraq just a little while ago. When he tells Angela not to touch the light, he's actually referring to the light that's coming off of him, the unfiltered quantum energy, because it liquefied Senator Keene, so don't touch it because you will also too be liquefied. Number 4, Lady True eviscerates the leadership of Cyclops. So this is obviously a big deal, but it was part of the bargain that Will, Angela's grandfather, made with Lady True. It was the justice that he was supposed to get. So he made a deal with the devil, as he later implies, but that deal itself was Dr. Manhattan's original idea. That's why they referenced the flashback, because Dr. Manhattan engineered this whole plan because he saw the future and knew how everything was going to play out. Number 3, though, Ozymandias' new plan to save the world. I'll give her a rerun. He makes fun of her making fun of his reruns, because when she comes in 2008, she's like, you've been playing the same old tune this entire time. What if we came up with a completely different plan for saving the world? So when he says rerun, he's just doing the squid plan again, like more squid, a rerun of his previous plan, only this time he's freezing them and using them sort of like bullets, just breaking everything in their path. Typical Ozymandias. Love his quote when Laurie's like, do you think we can save John? And he's like, nope, he's definitely already dead by now. Back at Ground Zero, you also notice Lady True's mother, who now knows her true origin story, oh, I'm her mother, actually starts to help Angela, and she's in a cop car at the end, so she might be playing things like she's completely innocent, so there's potential there for her to take up Lady True's legacy, because now she's going to inherit everything that she owns, because unless someone tells the truth, no one's going to find out that she's actually secretly a clone, but technically, I think by next of kin, she would inherit everything of Lady True's. Number 2, Lady True dies, and then Ozymandias gets arrested by Laurie. It's also implied that they'll eventually try to arrest President Robert Redford because he knew the truth of what happened in New York. This is sort of a mirror for the ending of the original comic book series, the truth in Rorschach's journal about what Ozymandias did. What would happen if the truth got out? Love the moment in the theater too, that sort of brings it back around to the first episode, because remember, outside in the square is the site of the original massacre, and inside the theater where the Oklahoma play has been playing, it says finale on the sticker. That's just a reference to the season finale, but they also play the song from Oklahoma when they walk out of the theater. But this is the theater and the exact seat that he sat in watching Bass Reeves, the Marshal of Oklahoma, in that very first flashback at the beginning of the season. The reason why Night Owl's ship is there, I guess, is because it's implied that he either left it there when they originally came in the comic series to stop him, or at some point later, Night Owl came back to Karnak to try and do something and then left it there. They have that funny moment where Ozymandias gets really upset at the thought that he's going to be arrested. It's the same basic speech that he gave the clones when they tried to put him on trial, only now the twist is he'll be on trial again, but it'll be real, and the consequences will be real. Looking Glass just whacks him over the back of the head. That guy talks too much. Obviously, number 1, WTF, is Angela eating Dr. Manhattan's egg, though, presumably gaining his powers. The reason why they didn't actually show you that happening, why her foot hovers over the water, then they slam to credits, is because that scene is meant to be a direct mirror for the last scene of the comic book series with the hand hovering over Rorschach's journal, leaving you wondering if it's ever going to be published. They did a really good job editing this scene with the flashbacks that Angela had asking him back in Saigon. Oh, so you could put your powers into this little egg, I could eat the egg, and then I could walk on water. As far as them continuing this story and answering that question, Damon Lindelof said that this story was designed as a one-season, one-and-done thing. He did acknowledge that HBO could decide to continue the story if they wanted into season 2, but for all intents and purposes, this was meant to be a beginning, middle, and end all contained in season 1. People asked Damon Lindelof if he would ever reveal the identity of Lube Man. He said that no, just like Hooded Justice was never revealed in the original comic series, we don't intend on officially revealing who Lube Man was. He kind of confirmed that it was Agent Pete though when he said that there would be one final PDpedia entry. Overall, I actually think that episode 8 is probably a better episode of the television show than the actual finale, but I am happy that they answered all those questions, and I feel like you know all the things you need to know to guess what actually happens after this. Ozymandias probably eventually wound up going to jail. Angela probably really did get some of Dr. Manhattan's powers. As to whether or not she's as powerful as Dr. Manhattan, I think is open to speculation though. Everyone post your theories in the comments below. If you have any big questions, I'll try to answer them in the comments. Star Wars Rise of Skywalker is out this weekend. I'll be posting my non-spoilery review on Wednesday, but they'll also be releasing The Mandalorian Episode 7 a couple days early on Wednesday as well, so that video will also post on Wednesday. As long as you have alerts enabled for my channel, you'll see all the videos when I post them. While you wait for everything, click here for my Mandalorian Episode 6 video, and click here for my new Baby Yoda video. Thank you so much for watching. Everybody stay awesome. I'll see you guys tonight.